What if just 3 simple words could begin to transform your financial destiny? What if the power to attract wealth, opportunities, and success was already hidden within your own mind? In this powerful message, inspired by the teachings of Dr. Joseph Murphy, you will discover how a simple 3-word command can begin to reprogram your subconscious mind for riches, abundance, and prosperity. Your subconscious mind never argues, it simply accepts what you impress upon it. When you learn how to speak to it correctly, you unlock a force that quietly shapes your reality. Tonight, you are about to learn how a few intentional words, repeated with belief, can start changing the direction of your life and open the door to the wealth you desire. The subconscious mind is always listening. Every thought you repeat, every belief you accept, every word you say to yourself begins to sink beneath the surface of your conscious awareness and enters the deeper level of your mind where real transformation begins. Most people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances from the outside, but the truth taught by Dr. Joseph Murphy is simple and powerful. Life changes from the inside out. The subconscious mind does not argue, analyze, or question. It simply accepts the instructions that are repeatedly given to it, and then it works quietly, faithfully, and continuously to turn those instructions into reality. From the moment you wake up in the morning until the moment you fall asleep at night, your subconscious mind is recording impressions. Every worry, every fear, every hope, every expectation is like a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious. And just like fertile soil, the subconscious mind does not choose which seeds will grow. It grows whatever is planted in it. If seeds of doubt are planted, doubt grows. If seeds of lack are planted, lack grows. If seeds of prosperity and confidence are planted, prosperity and confidence grow. Many people unknowingly give negative commands to their subconscious every day. They say things like, "I never have enough money," "Nothing ever works out for me," or "Making money is difficult." These statements may feel like harmless expressions of frustration, but the subconscious mind does not recognize them as complaints. It recognizes them as instructions. It accepts them as truth and begins organizing circumstances, decisions, habits, and opportunities to match those repeated commands. This is why 2 people can live in the same city, experience the same economy, and face similar opportunities, yet end up with completely different financial realities. One person has been conditioning their subconscious mind with thoughts of scarcity and limitation, while the other has been impressing their subconscious with beliefs of abundance, confidence, and success. The subconscious mind faithfully produces what it has been programmed to produce. Repetition is the language the subconscious understands best. The conscious mind may analyze information, question ideas, and doubt possibilities, but the subconscious responds to patterns. When an idea is repeated again and again with feeling and conviction, the subconscious begins to accept it as a permanent belief. Once a belief is accepted at the subconscious level, it begins influencing behavior, perception, and opportunity in ways that appear almost mysterious. A person who repeatedly tells themselves that wealth flows easily to them begins to think differently. They begin to notice opportunities they once ignored. They begin to take actions they once avoided. They begin to make decisions that align with growth rather than fear. What appears from the outside as luck or coincidence is often the natural result of subconscious programming. Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that the subconscious mind is like a powerful servant. It follows orders without question. If the orders are weak, confused, or negative, the results will reflect that confusion. If the orders are clear, confident, and repeated with belief, the results will begin to move in that direction. The subconscious mind is constantly translating thoughts into experiences. Think about how habits are formed. A person does not develop a habit overnight. A habit forms through repetition. The more a behavior is repeated, the more deeply it becomes embedded in the subconscious mind. Eventually, the behavior becomes automatic. The same principle applies to financial thinking. If someone constantly thinks in terms of limitation, their financial decisions will reflect limitation. If someone repeatedly thinks in terms of expansion and opportunity, their financial decisions will begin reflecting growth. The subconscious mind influences the choices you make when no one is watching. It influences how confident you feel when opportunities appear. It influences whether you take action or hesitate. When the subconscious mind has been conditioned with beliefs of wealth and success, it begins guiding actions in ways that align with those beliefs. This is why a simple repeated command can be so powerful. A short phrase repeated with faith and emotion begins to imprint itself into the subconscious. The shorter and clearer the command, the easier it becomes for the subconscious mind to accept it. Over time, that command becomes a belief. Once it becomes a belief, it begins shaping reality. When a person repeats a wealth-focused command daily, especially during moments when the mind is calm and receptive, the subconscious begins absorbing that message. The moments just before sleep and the moments just after waking are particularly powerful because the conscious mind is relaxed and the subconscious mind is more open to suggestion. During those quiet moments, a repeated command enters deeper into the subconscious layers. With consistent repetition, the subconscious begins accepting the idea as natural and true. Once accepted, it begins influencing thoughts, feelings, decisions, and circumstances. Many people underestimate the power of simple words spoken with belief. They assume that life is shaped only by external effort. Effort is important, but effort guided by a programmed subconscious mind becomes far more powerful. When the subconscious supports your goals, instead of resisting them, actions become more effective and opportunities become easier to recognize. Emotion also plays a powerful role in programming the subconscious mind. Words spoken without feeling often remain at the surface level of the conscious mind. Words spoken with emotion sink deeper. When a person repeats a command for wealth while feeling gratitude, confidence, and expectation, the subconscious mind absorbs the message more quickly. This is why visualization often accompanies repetition. When a person repeats a command for wealth while imagining the feeling of financial freedom, the subconscious mind receives both the instruction and the emotional confirmation that the instruction is real. The combination of repetition and emotion strengthens the impression on the subconscious mind. Over time, the subconscious begins to treat the repeated command as a reality that must be expressed. It begins guiding attention toward ideas, people, and opportunities that align with that command. The conscious mind then interprets these changes as motivation, inspiration, or intuition. In truth, it is the subconscious mind responding to repeated instructions. One of the most important principles taught by Dr. Joseph Murphy is that the subconscious mind works continuously. It does not stop working when you stop thinking about a goal. Once a belief has been planted, the subconscious continues organizing thoughts and behaviors around that belief. It works while you sleep, while you relax, and while you focus on other things. This constant activity is why repeated commands eventually become powerful forces in a person's life. What begins as a simple phrase repeated daily slowly becomes an internal conviction. That conviction influences posture, tone of voice, decision making, persistence, and creativity. A person whose subconscious mind has accepted the belief that wealth is natural to them will approach opportunities differently than someone who subconsciously believes money is difficult to obtain. Confidence becomes natural. Fear begins to fade. Action becomes easier. The subconscious mind also filters information. Every day your senses are exposed to thousands of details, but your mind notices only a small portion of them. The subconscious mind helps decide which information receives your attention. When your subconscious is programmed for wealth and opportunity, it begins highlighting ideas and possibilities related to growth. A person may suddenly notice business ideas, partnerships, or solutions that they previously overlooked. These opportunities may have always been present, but the subconscious filter was not tuned to recognize them. The repeated command gradually adjusts that filter. Another powerful aspect of the subconscious mind is its ability to influence persistence. Many people start pursuing financial goals with enthusiasm, but give up when they encounter difficulty. This often happens because their subconscious beliefs conflict with their conscious goals. If someone consciously wants wealth, but subconsciously believes wealth is unattainable, the subconscious creates hesitation, doubt, and fear. Repeated commands help align these two levels of the mind. When the subconscious begins accepting the idea of wealth, resistance fades. Persistence becomes easier because the deeper mind now supports the goal rather than opposing it. Consistency is the key to this transformation. A single repetition may create a small impression, but repeated daily affirmations deepen the impression. Over weeks and months, the command becomes part of the subconscious pattern. Just as water slowly shapes stone through continuous flow, repeated words slowly shape beliefs through continuous suggestion. People sometimes look for complex formulas to transform their financial lives, but the truth is that the subconscious mind responds best to simplicity. A clear command repeated with belief can gradually change the direction of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The subconscious mind does not measure how complicated an instruction is. It measures how consistently it is repeated and how strongly it is believed. This is why a simple 3-word command can carry incredible power. Short commands are easy to remember. They are easy to repeat throughout the day. They can be whispered during quiet moments, repeated during meditation, or spoken before sleep. Each repetition reinforces the same instruction. Each repetition deepens the same belief. Over time, the subconscious mind begins to accept that instruction as part of your identity. And when identity shifts, behavior shifts naturally. A person who believes wealth is part of their identity begins acting in ways that reflect that identity. They become more open to learning, more confident in decision making, and more willing to step into opportunities that align with growth. The subconscious mind is not trying to limit you. It is simply reflecting the instructions it has received. If the instructions have been negative for many years, the results will reflect those patterns. But the moment new instructions begin to replace the old ones, the subconscious begins adjusting its responses. Change does not require struggle with the subconscious mind. It requires consistent guidance. Every repeated command becomes a signal sent to the deeper levels of the mind. The subconscious receives that signal and begins aligning thoughts, emotions, and actions with it. Gradually, a new pattern forms. The mind begins expecting success instead of failure. It begins expecting opportunities instead of obstacles. That expectation influences behavior in subtle but powerful ways. Confidence grows quietly. Decisions become clearer. Persistence becomes stronger. And all of this begins with something incredibly simple, a command repeated consistently until the subconscious mind accepts it as truth. Faith is one of the most powerful forces that can influence the subconscious mind. It is not simply a religious idea or a distant spiritual concept. Faith, in the teachings of Dr. Joseph Murphy, is the deep inner acceptance that something is already true in the unseen realm of the mind. When faith is present, the subconscious mind receives a message with certainty. It begins to treat that message not as a wish or a possibility, but as a reality that must be expressed in the outer world. The subconscious mind responds to belief much more strongly than it responds to effort alone. A person may work tirelessly toward a goal, but if their subconscious mind is filled with doubt and uncertainty, their actions often become hesitant and inconsistent. Doubt creates internal resistance. It causes hesitation in moments when confidence is needed. It causes fear when bold decisions must be made. Faith removes that resistance by giving the subconscious mind a clear and confident instruction. When a person repeats a command with faith, the subconscious mind receives it as a definite direction. Faith tells the subconscious that the instruction is safe to accept and powerful enough to act upon. It becomes the emotional signal that strengthens the command being repeated. Emotion is the energy that carries ideas deeper into the subconscious mind. Words alone can influence the conscious mind, but when words are combined with feeling, they penetrate deeper layers of awareness. The subconscious mind is highly responsive to emotional intensity. Feelings of gratitude, joy, expectation, and confidence make a command more powerful. Imagine two people repeating the same words. One person repeats them casually without feeling, while the other repeats them with genuine belief and emotional conviction. The subconscious mind will respond more strongly to the second person because the emotional energy behind the words makes the impression deeper and more vivid. Emotion acts like a magnet that pulls ideas into the subconscious. The stronger the emotional involvement, the stronger the impression becomes. When a person repeats a command for wealth while feeling grateful as if abundance is already present, the subconscious mind begins to accept that emotional state is normal. This is why many successful individuals speak about feeling success before it appears in the outer world. They cultivate the emotion of already having what they desire. This emotional rehearsal conditions the subconscious mind to expect the outcome. Once expectation is established, the mind begins directing thoughts and behaviors in ways that align with that expectation. Faith and emotion work together as partners in the process of subconscious programming. Faith provides certainty, and emotion provides energy. Together, they strengthen the repeated command until it becomes a powerful suggestion that the subconscious cannot ignore. Repetition then becomes the third element that activates this process. Even a powerful idea must be repeated consistently to become firmly rooted in the subconscious mind. The subconscious responds to patterns. When an instruction is repeated frequently with faith and emotion, it begins forming a new mental pathway. These pathways become stronger each time the command is repeated. Over time, the repeated command becomes familiar to the subconscious. What was once a new idea begins to feel natural. The mind begins accepting it as a belief rather than a possibility. Many people unknowingly repeat negative commands with strong emotion. When someone experiences frustration or fear about money, they may repeatedly think thoughts like, I will never get ahead, or money always slips away from me. Because these thoughts are accompanied by strong emotion, they create powerful impressions in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between positive and negative instructions. It simply accepts repeated emotional statements as truth and begins reflecting them in behavior and perception. This is why conscious repetition of positive commands becomes so important. It gradually replaces the old emotional patterns with new ones. Each repetition weakens the old belief and strengthens the new one. When faith, emotion, and repetition are combined, the subconscious mind receives a consistent signal. The signal says that abundance is expected, wealth is natural, and prosperity is safe to accept. As this signal becomes stronger, the subconscious begins aligning internal responses with it. The person begins to feel more confident about opportunities involving money. Fear about financial decisions begins to fade. Instead of assuming failure, the mind begins expecting success. This expectation influences how a person speaks, how they negotiate, how they plan, and how they respond to opportunities. Repetition also builds familiarity, and familiarity reduces doubt. At first, a wealth-focused command may feel unusual or even unrealistic to someone who has spent years thinking in terms of limitation. But the subconscious mind gradually becomes comfortable with the repeated idea. Each time the command is spoken with faith and emotion, the mind becomes more receptive to it. The words begin to feel natural rather than forced. The emotional reaction begins shifting from skepticism to quiet confidence. This transformation is subtle but powerful. The person may not immediately notice the change, but their internal dialogue begins shifting. Instead of automatically expecting financial struggle, the mind begins considering possibilities of growth. Faith also influences the way a person interprets events. When faith in prosperity is strong, temporary setbacks are seen as part of a larger journey rather than permanent failures. The subconscious mind supports persistence because the belief in eventual success remains intact. Emotion strengthens this persistence. When a person emotionally connects to the vision of financial freedom, that emotional connection fuels motivation. The subconscious mind becomes aligned with the goal, making effort feel purposeful rather than exhausting. Another important aspect of faith is trust in the unseen process of the subconscious mind. The mind often begins making adjustments long before visible results appear. Ideas begin forming, creative solutions emerge, and new perspectives develop. These internal changes eventually influence external actions and opportunities. A person who trusts this process continues repeating the command with belief even before results appear. This steady repetition keeps reinforcing the new belief until it becomes deeply embedded. The combination of faith, emotion, and repetition gradually reshapes identity. Instead of identifying as someone who struggles financially, the person begins identifying as someone who attracts opportunities and creates value. Identity plays a powerful role in behavior. People naturally act in ways that match their self-image. When the subconscious mind accepts the identity of prosperity, actions begin reflecting that identity. Confidence becomes visible in communication. Ideas are shared more freely. Decisions are made with greater clarity. Risks are evaluated with calm thinking rather than fear. All of these behaviors increase the likelihood of financial success. Emotion also helps maintain focus. In a world filled with distractions and competing messages, emotional commitment to a goal keeps the mind centered on what truly matters. The repeated command becomes a reminder of the direction the person has chosen. This focus influences daily habits. Small decisions begin aligning with the belief in prosperity. Time is invested more wisely. Learning becomes more intentional. Relationships are built with people who support growth and opportunity. Faith encourages patience while the subconscious mind continues its work. Many of the processes taking place beneath the surface are invisible. New mental patterns are forming, old fears are weakening, and confidence is gradually strengthening. Repetition keeps feeding the subconscious mind with the same instruction until the belief becomes automatic. Eventually, the command no longer feels like a technique being practiced. It becomes part of the person's natural thinking. Emotion then transforms from forced enthusiasm into genuine expectation. The person begins feeling comfortable with the idea of wealth. Financial success no longer feels distant or unrealistic. Instead, it feels like a natural extension of the beliefs that have been repeatedly planted in the subconscious mind. Faith removes the mental barriers that once blocked progress. Emotion energizes the vision of prosperity. Repetition engraves that vision into the subconscious mind until it becomes a guiding force behind thoughts and actions. The subconscious mind then begins expressing that belief through intuition, creativity, persistence, and opportunity awareness. Ideas appear at unexpected moments. Solutions become clearer. Connections with the right people happen more naturally. The person begins recognizing possibilities that were previously ignored. Conversations lead to opportunities. Skills develop through focused effort. Confidence attracts collaboration and trust. Each of these outcomes begins with the same simple process repeated daily, a command spoken with faith, strengthened by emotion, and reinforced through repetition until the subconscious mind accepts it completely.